we are only days away from the very long-awaited, much-anticipated Marvel Spider-Man 2. As we enter the week of the Spider-Man, Insomniac Games has released what will probably be the final preview of the game before its official release. Now sadly, similar to most massively huge releases, there are some leaks out there that are spoiling critical events of the game, but thankfully, they aren't very prevalent and Insomniac is doing a great job taking them down as quickly as possible. So as mentioned in the title, I just want to note that this video is completely spoiler free and only uses references from material that was officially released by Insomniac. After the latest gameplay showcases and trailers, it's pretty safe to say that Spider-Man 2 is riddled with some of the most iconic Spider-Man villains. 2018's Spider-Man overwhelmed us in their awesome villain category, featuring multiple iconic members of the Sinister Six alongside additional unique villains. I personally thought Insomniac would have a very hard time living up to that again, especially after we saw Miles' pretty lackluster villain catalog. But now that we're only days away from this year's release, we could confidently say we have what might be the best villain lineup in a Spider-Man game since the year 2000 when we got the PlayStation 1 original Spider-Man title, which included just about every major Spidey villain. Each trailer showcases different villains in their own distinctive situations. Whether some of those are just side villains or game-changing bosses, this video is going to talk about every Spider-Man 2 villain. Before we start, I want to first preface with the fact that we will only be mentioning new villains who have not been in previous installments. For instance, we did see some clips featuring Martin Lee, otherwise known as Mr. Negative, but he won't be included in today's list since he was one of the main antagonists in 2018's title. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Following Spider-Man 2's latest launch trailer, I think we could assume Insomniac has completed their list of disclosed villains prior to release. Let's just say there is a lot of juicy material in this new preview. Of course, other than MJ completely failing the Akira bike slide. Before we get into the newly released stuff, let's first start with the four most revealed villains that were shown to us in the first ever reveal of Spider-Man 2 back in the 2021 PlayStation Showcase event. Throughout the first teaser, we heard what is clearly Kraven the Hunter narrating over Peter and Miles' combat, closely followed by flash frames that revealed Venom's face, clearly indicating that they will both play a villainous role in the story. Kraven the Hunter is an infamous Spidey villain. Though he is probably the least popular in the list, he is known to be a very strong match for Peter, with his excellent hunting and combat abilities. Not to mention, he has an army of very skilled hunters, accompanied by Oscorp level technology and weaponry. It will be very interesting to see how Kraven integrates with the storyline and how his interactions with both Spideys will be. Will he eventually turn a blind side and aid the two Spideys, or will he be the main instigator? Kraven is a phenomenally written character, and I think of all the Spidey villains, Pete and Miles will have the most trouble trying to best the world's greatest hunter. Now, on to Venom. Well, let's just go ahead and say it. Other than the likes of Doc Ock and Green Goblin, no other villain could even come close to Venom in the best Spider-Man villain conversation. His unique symbiotic nature and transformation into an anti-hero have contributed to his enduring legacy in the Marvel Universe. We've seen many clips of him in action recently, and it's clear to see that Insomniac may have designed the best Venom in a Spider-Man game to date. I believe that he will be the center of the entire story plot, especially since we know there's a pattern of Venom inhabiting both Peter and/or someone that Peter may know or care about. I think all fights and events that take place involving Venom will definitely be something to remember. Now, we don't exactly know who Venom is in this particular storyline. However, as we've seen throughout the last couple of weeks, there seems to be some connections between the symbiote and Norman Osborn's son Harry, who also happens to be Peter's best friend. So it's pretty easy to see how Venom could play a giant role in the game's plot and severely dictate the outcome of events. Moving on to our next villain, the first Spider-Man 2 gameplay reveal that Insomniac released was after about an entire year hiatus from showcasing new game content. But it was well worth the wait, since it not only showed us symbiote Peter, but also revealed that Dr. Connors is in fact featured in the story and will reprise his notorious role as the Lizard. Now, this was a shock to me. I personally thought it was very interesting having both Venom and the Lizard as villains in the same game. They both have very chaotic auras, so it will be interesting to see how Insomniac integrates the two into the plot. The Lizard is a compelling villain whose character is defined by a complex internal struggle between scientific aspirations, morality, and an ego altered by his own flawed antidote. It has been mentioned in the previous games that Peter has already taken down Dr. Connors as the Lizard once already. We saw a good chunk of the Lizard boss fight in that gameplay reveal, and wow, we could easily say this is the most dynamic boss fight in Insomniac's Spider-Man franchise. Both the style of fight and location changes drastically during the battle, which is just an astounding feature that makes the fight that much more immersive. Clearly, the Lizard will not disappoint. Next on our list is Mysterio. Now I'll be honest, I was pretty disappointed about Mysterio since it was stated that he's only a side villain and does not play a major role in the main story. Mysterio has always been one of my favorite Spidey villains, and I always thought he was one of Spidey's most intuitive adversaries. So I was kind of sad when I heard he wasn't a main villain, but regardless, I'm happy he's a part of the game and I'm excited to see how Insomniac will showcase his different deceptions. Also known as Quentin Beck, Mysterio is a villain famously known for his mastery of illusions and theatrics. His background in the entertainment industry, alongside various technological gadgets, makes him a unique but formidable adversary for the web-slingers. Now, although he isn't a main villain, I would really like it if his boss fight isn't dumbed down due to its lack of importance, and hopefully Insomniac could use his versatile illusions to make for some amazing looking scenes. Now moving on to the latest revealed villain and probably most shocking, Sandman. This was a big surprise. I'm curious as to why Insomniac waited until the week of to reveal Sandman as a villain. As shown to us, he's clearly a major hazard to the city and will be strongly prioritized by Miles and Pete. This is such an awesome and iconic Spider-Man villain that I feel has kind of been neglected and not respected as much in a long time. But clearly Insomniac had no issue giving him the respect he deserves, as he seems to be the most destructive villain as of yet. Sandman, otherwise known as Flint Marko, possesses the ability to transform his body into sand. He can change his shape, size, and density at will, making him unbelievably powerful. I wonder if he'll have any connections to the other villains and their goals, or if he'll have his own plot of conflict and that Peter and Miles will have to take care of him separately from the others. Now, even though that does conclude our list of confirmed villains in Spider-Man 2, if we look back at the first two Spider-Man titles, they both featured a villain that was not disclosed, and in both instances, the villain happened to be a very close person to their respective Spidey. In 2018 Spider-Man, Peter finds himself battling his mentor and idol, Dr. Otto Octavius, in the final battle of the game. Similarly, Miles had to fight his best friend Finn after he found out she was the Tinker, leader of the underground gang. So it's wise to presume that this may happen again in this upcoming title. Some fans have speculated that Norman Osborn may make his appearance as the Green Goblin to be the final boss of the game, but I personally think there isn't enough tension that we know of yet that could act as a stepping stone for the creation of the Green Goblin. Not to mention, I think he's too great of a villain to try and squeeze him in with this already fantastic villain roster. But who knows, Insomniac are known to be wizards and can just about make anything work in spectacular fashion. Now, my own personal prediction, as stated in my last video, is that due to the symbiote's negative effects, a grand fight between Miles and Peter will take place. I'll put the link to that video at the top of the description if you guys would like to check it out. I personally think this makes the most sense. Peter is a main character, and him turning into a boss fight that players will have to face would be the perfect turn of events. With the release of Spider-Man 2 being this Friday, how do you feel about the current villain lineup? Would you like to see Norman Osborn possibly make his return as the Green Goblin, or would you rather it be reserved for a potential fourth title? Feel free to leave your thoughts and comments down below, and if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons and ring that notification bell. I'll try my best to be as consistent as I can with the uploads and give you guys the best possible story game content. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.